Hello world, Cozzy here with this week's roundup of Geek Movie news. Starting off this week with Oldboy. Now, according to reports from Twitch, Oscar winner Colin Firth has been offered a part in the movie, which is a remake of the South Korean classic revenge movie. If you don't know, it's being remade by Mandate Pictures and Spike Lee, and Josh Brolin is already signed on to take a major role in this movie. Now, if Firth accepts the part, apparently he will be playing Adrian, who basically orchestrates the capture and imprisonment of Brolin's character. Brilliant casting, as far as I'm concerned. But why do we need a Western remake of an already fantastic movie? I have no idea. If you haven't seen the original, it's fairly cheap to pick up on DVD and Blu-ray these days. Go ahead, watch it before it probably gets ruined by this Western remake. According to an interview with new Superman Henry Cavill, the new Superman movie, Man of Steel, is going to have a lot more in common with the DCU's new 52 reboot than simply a costume change. The whole thing is more to do with a change in the way we view this character. Just to give you a direct quote, they want to make it easier to associate with because it's pretty tough to associate with an invulnerable alien. Warner Brothers and DC. This is a character that has starred in comic books, in movies, in TV shows, in cartoons for, 80 years now? And suddenly it's hard to relate to them? Makes no sense. So as I'm saying, it's a massive character. People know about the character and already relate to him. And why you would need to do anything to make him more relatable is beyond me. But this is the line that it has been given by Cavill himself, and yeah, it doesn't bode well in my opinion for this movie. Hopefully it's going to be handled well because we really do need an absolutely Superman movie. Reports from Heat Vision this week state that the screenwriter of Snow White and the Huntsman, Evan Stiliotopoulos, is going to be writing a screenplay for Asteroids. Now, for those of you who don't know, Universal Pictures picked up the right to Asteroids, which was a 1979 Atari game, massive in the arcades and on the original Atari 2600 system in the 80s and obviously late 70s. There was no real storyline to the game, so when it was optioned as a movie, people don't know what's going to come from it. I mean, I really like to see what you can do with a game that has no storyline at all. What can you make into a movie? There's been a screenplay already rejected from Matt Lopez, who wrote the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So yeah, let's wait and see what kind of movie we get for Asteroids. About 3 weeks ago, I spoke to you about The Man from U.N.C.L.E, which is a very famous 1960s TV series that's going to be made into a big budget Steven Soderbergh movie in the near future. And I said that Bradley Cooper had been offered a role. Now, like George Clooney and Matt Damon and Johnny Depp before him, Cooper's actually turned down the chance to star in this movie. Holds up development, and it means that once again Soderbergh is looking for a major star to be in the Man from U.N.C.L.E movie. Once any more news is out there, guys, obviously, as always, I'll let you know. Some casting news for Matt Donohue's 7 Psychopaths this week. Now, first off, Mickey Rourke, due to problems between him and the director, has left the project and will be replaced by Woody Harrelson as the main antagonist of the movie. Also, Tom Waits and Olga Kurylenko are joining the movie as shady underworld types. So, yeah, a lot of change considering that the movie's actually starting shooting this week. A lot of last minute additions and changes. Where Mickey Rourke is concerned, he chose to do this movie instead of The Expendables 2. So it is highly possible that he will go back to being in the sequel to The Expendables. Nothing has been confirmed yet, it's all just rumour. But don't be surprised if Mickey Rourke goes back to being in The Expendables 2. The writer and producer of AKA Jessica Jones, Melissa Rosenberg, has stated a couple of things about the series coming from Marvel Studios and ABC in the near future. Firstly, that she hopes that it will make ABC's fall 2012 lineup. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but that's what she's hoping. Secondly, that it's going to stay very, very, very true to its comic book roots, including that Jessica Jones will have the past as a costume superhero, and also that Luke Cage is going to play a major role right from the very start of the series. All fantastic news in my book. If you're going to do an adaptation of what was originally, if you want to go out and read the comic books, called Alias, which is what this is, you should stick to the comic books, you should stick to the characters and the way they were portrayed in those comic books. And any chance to get Luke Cage on screen and possibly, hopefully, drum up some more interest in finally getting a Luke Cage movie made is all good in my book. Another comic book adaptation that could be hitting the small screens in the near future is Oni Press's Ghost Project, which is under development at Sci-Fi. Now, the basic premise behind the story is that it's a supernatural thriller. There's been an unknown force released in Siberia, and a female Russian agent and male US weapons inspector are dispatched to investigate. Now, very interesting, very different, sort of almost X-Files type show, and obviously comic book. So, you know, what I was talking about a couple of weeks back about this kind of sci-fi show has been missing from the small screen for quite some time, so a brilliant time for it to go into development. Apparently they've tied down Brett Matthews as both a writer and executive producer of the series, and it marks Sci-Fi's second Oni Press adaptation after they got hold of the rights to The Sixth Gun just around the time of Comic-Con, which if you go back and watch my Comic-Con specials, you'll see I was talking about. So yeah, Sci-Fi getting involved with Oni Press's Ghost Project. It seems the Godzilla reboot has picked up another screenwriter in the form of Max Borenstein. Now, Borenstein is going to be the third screenwriter to have a go at writing a screenplay for this Western reboot of the Godzilla franchise, and if you don't know much about him, he's most famous for the screenplay to The Last Apprentice for Legendary Pictures, who are making the Godzilla reboot. Gareth Edwards is still attached to direct. He directed 2010's Monsters, so he obviously knows quite a bit about monster movies. And yeah, I mean, I really want this to do well. I'm a fan of the Godzilla movies, the Japanese ones, that a lot of times I saw as a child, and after seeing what I would say is a complete disgrace to the Godzilla franchise with that 1998 movie that was made in the US, I really, really pray that this reboot not only does the monster and the franchise justice, but is a massive, massive hit. Deadline reports that MGM is negotiating this week to pick up the screenplay of Killer Pizza, which is being written by Frozen's Adam Green. Now, Killer Pizza was a book in 2010 by Greg Taylor. It's a young adult book, and it's been suggested that the studio sees this as a Gremlins or Goonies style kids movie. It's early days, but interesting. I mean, we haven't seen a kids movie in the style of sort of the Gremlins or Goonies or even Labyrinth, those 80s style kids movies, for quite some time. So this could be an interesting project to keep your eye on. NBC has commissioned a 13-episode series called Hannibal, which will be produced by Gaumont International Television with the help of Pushing Daisy's creator Brian Fuller. Now, it's going to look at the backstory of Hannibal Lecter from around the time of the 1981 book Red Dragon, which obviously has been made into a movie on 2 occasions. So we're going to get more backstory about the character Hannibal Lecter and what went on leading up to that movie. And basically, NBC have asked Fuller to write an hour-long script for the first episode, and if they like it, then it will go immediately into production as a 13-episode series. So we're not going to see a pilot filmed, we're just going to see 13 episodes filmed and it put out there on TV as soon as it is ready. So keep your eye out in the near future for Hannibal hitting your TV screens. Online reports this week have suggested that Brian K. Vaughan, the Eisner-winning comic book writer, is going to be adapting 2009 Stephen King novel Under the Dome for Showtime. Now, the project is currently with DreamWorks Production, and it focuses on this science fiction book about a small town in Maine that, for some reason, inexplicably wakes up one morning and is shut off by an invisible force field right around the town. Interesting, different project. If you don't know much about Vaughan, he's more famous for his comic book works like Y: The Last Man, Ex Machina, and Marvel's Runaways, all of which have been discussed recently as being either put into film format or TV series, so keep an eye out for news on those. He does have some TV writing credits though. He was a writer on Lost. Everyone remembers that. People Stuck on an Island. He was a writer on Lost from season 3 through to the end of season 5. So yeah, he's got some TV writing credits, and we'll just have to wait to see what he can do with this adaptation of Stephen King. Hopefully, because we know how hit and miss Stephen King adaptations are. As he is a fantastic writer already, he can do this project justice. Director of the new Robocop movie, Jose Padilla, has been talking this week about his vision for the movie. Now, I'm going to give you a quote. It's quite a long one, so just hold on to your pants and listen carefully. Now, he states, in the first Robocop, when Alex Murphy is shot and gunned down, when you see some hospital and stuff, and then you cut to see him as Robocop. My movie is between those two cuts. How do you make Robocop? How do you slowly bring a guy to be a robot? How do you actually take humanity out of someone, and how do you program a brain, so to speak? How does that affect an individual? So does this mean that this isn't a remake? Not even a reboot? Can we start calling this Robocop Begins now? News that Doctor Who fans have been waiting for a long time, and that is confirmation that the BBC are working on a Doctor Who movie. Now, they're working on this movie with the director of the last 4 Harry Potter movies, David Yates, and Yates has come out this week and said we're probably about 2 or 3 years away from anything being fully confirmed. Good news. Bad news is that it will have no connection to the actual TV series. It will be set in a completely different universe, in the same way that the 1960s Doctor Who movie was. Now, the reason that he said to do this, and to give a direct quote, is it needs quite a radical transformation to take it into the bigger arena of basically movies. This is a series very much like what I spoke about before with Superman, that has an audience already, a massive, now worldwide audience. Why on earth do we need to tell the story again of who Doctor Who is, why he does the things he does, when you've already got an audience? Okay, maybe the start of the movie just to refresh people's memories who maybe haven't seen it before or haven't seen it for a long time, but you've got a huge following for Doctor Who. Why need to set it in a completely separate universe? I don't know. Makes no sense to me as a Doctor Who fan, as I'm sure a lot of you will think. But at least, guys, we are, at some point in the future, going to get a Doctor Who movie. According to CHUD, the Dark Knight Rises prologue, which, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, is going to be attached to IMAX prints of the next Mission Impossible movie, has received a PG-13 rating in America for some violence. Now, what some violence means, I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm assuming that if it gets a PG-13 rating in the States, it will probably get a 12A rating here. Not that that will bother me, but just to let people know, I can't wait for the next Mission Impossible movie. Not because I'm looking forward to the actual movie. I'm going to pay to see 6 minutes of this glorious movie early in IMAX. Finally this week, Variety reports that after a long time, a lot of years in development, we're going to get a Lego movie? Yeah, that's right, a movie based on Lego. Now, Australian animations graphics group Animal Logic will handle the CGI elements, although the film will actually feature some live action elements also. Phil Lord, Christopher Miller and Chris McKay are going to be directing the movie, and there's no screenwriter yet attached. Now, film's scheduled for a 2014 release date, So expect to see some news dripping out over the next 6 to 12 months, and production probably at the start of 2013. Right guys, that's all for this week's Geek Movie News. As always, if you liked this video, then just down there is the like button. You click on that and you let me know that you like it. Maybe even favourite it and share it with your friends. If you missed last week's Geek Movie News, then there's going to be a little bop out there so you can pop out and watch that video. If you maybe didn't see my review for in time, then just there you click and that pops out and you go and watch that review also. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, as always, Ugly Mug here, you click on that and you can subscribe to my channel also. In the description box below, you can open that up and there's a link to my Facebook fan page and also to my Twitter, so you can find out when videos are on their way, what's going on in the world of Geek Movie News, Geek Movies, and obviously this channel. If you've got a comment you'd like to leave, or maybe some information or news that you think I should be including in next week's video, then as always, comment boxes are below. Go down there, you type a comment, you leave it for me. As always, thanks for watching guys, and au revoir.